Were you someone who got caught in ReZero fever back in 2016? Now, if you weren't around then, boy, have I got a lot of stories to tell you about how an anime took the world by storm, setting itself apart from other isekai titles back when we still weren't getting 5 or 6 of them a season. ReZero was a cultural phenomenon on its own, and while I was personally satisfied with how the first season ended, fans nonetheless clamored for more. Thus, the anime gods gifted us with a second season. Then it got delayed. And then it got delayed again. After multiple delays, we're finally getting our much-awaited second season. It's a much-needed reprieve for a season whose production has, for lack of a better term, been quite the recipient of some bad luck. Just like Subaru. That aside, I also realized that we're yet to have dedicated a video to the series that had the world in its grasp half a decade ago. In commemoration of the second season's imminent airing, let's take a trip down memory lane and go through some of the most exhilarating, tense, and dramatic moments that ReZero had to offer in its first season. Starting off then, I'm going to give the number 10 moment to something that doesn't involve fighting or deaths for once. Instead, it's the royal election. In universe, the royal election marks a momentous event, a kingdom looking for the next heir to the throne's no laughing business, and in the case of Lagunica, it's left to pick between 5 women who share completely different ideals. It's an election that would quite literally change the landscape of the kingdom for years to come. Now, in a meta sense, I think that this event's totally important because not only did it do a really good job of highlighting each candidate and getting us to know their ideals, it does so in a massive spectacle. I really like how each candidate introduced herself, and who could forget the moment when got revealed to be the final candidate. The lead up to that scene, the music and the acting was just so good. It also brought back a plot point from the end of the first arc that I thought was forgotten, and that's how you close an episode. And trust me, that's a phrase that you'll hear more and more as you go deeper into this list. Ninth on the list is Subaru's battle against the demon dog. In the second arc of the series, Subaru, now in the Roswell mansion, has to contend with something that's kept killing him over and over again. Many moments of surefire happiness got foiled by a curse, and after multiple revives, Subaru is ready to finish it and rid himself of the curse. So off he goes, taking over for Rem and facing off against the dog demon by himself. Knowing Subaru's track record, we're all sure that he's going to receive a swift death for his troubles. Instead, the opening plays and Subaru showcases the magic and all the skills he learned from his previous runs, even managing to get the upper hand against the daunting opponent at one point. Seeing Subaru put on his big boy pants and kick ass was surreal, and it sent chills down my spine. I mean, granted, he didn't finish the job, but that's beside the point, isn't it? We've all been so used to the underdog weakling die in multiple creative ways, so seeing him stand up against a mighty foe like an actual isekai hero was a sight to behold. At number 8, we have the Elsa fight. A number of fans would probably just think of Elsa as an opener boss. In the grand scheme of things, I'm inclined to agree actually, but when it's all said and done, I don't blame people who say the assassin who's responsible for several of Subaru's first deaths ended up just being a random hot and deadly villainess to test Subaru's wits and determination. Thanks to Elsa being an assassin who specializes in blitzing fast attacks, we get blessed by some of the best and most fast-paced action sequences the series has to offer. The first one with Felt was great, but I think that my favorite one was the final one where Emilia joins the fray. There, the half-elf shows off some magic, and she even manages to fight Elsa on pretty much equal grounds, a surprise considering how easily she fell in the first encounter. Turns out that without the advantage of an ambush, Elsa could have found her match after all. Granted, the tension completely dies down when Mr. Overpowered himself, Reinhardt, joins the battle, but the fight preceding it showed some of the best action scenes the series has to offer. Turns out it was all the classic RPG fight where you stall in an unwinnable battle till the strong hero comes and saves the day. We move on to the 7th entry now on the list with Subaru's first revive. You Being sent into another world is a dream come true for many Japanese teens. Finally, freed from their boring lives, they end up becoming heroes with amazing powers, near invincibility, and the ability to do nothing and wake up with hordes of girls wanting a piece of them. Wait. Subaru doesn't have those magical powers? He gets beaten up by lowly thugs? Well, something's definitely wrong here then, isn't it? What's worse, he doesn't even know what he's getting into when he just outright dies beside the girl of his dreams. Bad ending indeed. But then we find out what his mandatory isekai protagonist power really is. Every time he dies, he gets the ability to go back to a certain point in time. With all the knowledge through his experience retained, Subaru then restarts his journey, overcoming despair and pain in order to reach the true ending that he wants. Talk about a unique power. No wonder the show managed to grab a lot of attention right from the start. Nearing the halfway mark now, we have the reveal of Rem's true identity at number 6. It must be tiring to be Subaru during the second arc. In addition to a curse ruining his dream date with Emilia, he also finds himself a victim of another less glamorous form of death. Mauling. You see, walking around the Roswell mansion at night got him killed by an unknown assailant before he knew it. But who could it be? Turns out that it's Rem, and she's not alone. Even her sister Ram ends up being a demon who can more than handle themselves in a fight. Now, I place this sequence right here because it becomes the major driving point of the arc from here on out. The backstory of the twins was great, and the scene of Subaru first dying at the hands of Rem also led to the amazing cliff jump scene that earned a lot of praise. The growing relationship between Rem and Subaru starts this arc, and it continues, climaxing in a scene that you're going to see much later on this list. For our number 5 entry, we have Betelgeuse's death. It was really a close call, this one. Personally, I found the preceding fight where Julius and Subaru team up to battle Betelgeuse as the more epic and exciting one that got me really pumped up. Seeing those two former enemies team up as uneasy yet trusty allies is a joy to watch, befitting of its promotion of being the final battle in the arc. However, I think that the post-fight chase with Subaru and Betelgeuse edges it out by just a little bit due to the implications and the result. After being defeated, Betelgeuse is not quite dead and chases after Subaru in his spider-like form. It's a wild chase where the mad archbishop begins gaining ground on the desperate heroes when Subaru whips out his ultimate weapon, the Bible. On a serious note, Subaru, having known the identity of that book and its connection to the archbishop, finally puts an end to the madness by sealing Betelgeuse's fate through that book. The following scene with Sartella is also a nice touch to giving hints on the villain's backstory. Next up, we have the moment that spanned 1,000 memes. Yep, you're right. It's the moment when everyone forgot who Rem was. Well, the last time we see Rem before this scene was when she offered herself as a sacrifice for Subaru to escape the white whale. We never see her afterwards, and it's safe to say that for this timeline, she's as good as gone. So now Subaru wakes up in the mansion, frantically asks Rem about her sister, only to be greeted by the all-too iconic words, "Who's Rem?" Yep. And thus the memes began. In universe though, this moment serves as a very important event because it helps shed light on what the whale really is or what it's capable of. It's also the moment that spurned Subaru's resolve to defeat the whale. If they're going back and saving Emilia from the witch cult, then the whale is an obstacle that they must overcome. No ifs or buts, and luckily for him, he has various armies to recruit for this expedition. Our second runner-up is the appearance of the white whale in front of Crush's army. The battle against the white whale is an amazing moment by itself due to the amount of action, the twists and turns the battle has, Wilhelm's backstory, and its creative finish. However, among those amazing sequences, I personally would like to direct your attention to when the monster first appears in front of Crush's army. It certainly has something to do with the atmosphere, the ominous silence, and Subaru's ringtone gave the whole scene a haunting air. You know those cool preludes to a boss fight? Well, this is one of them. Then it finally appears against the backdrop of the moon, and it was just dead silence. I really love the tense air with both sides staring each other down before Subaru and Rem charge in as heroic music blares, signaling the beginning of the battle. As I said a while ago, that's how you end an episode, isn't it? It was the cliffhanger of all cliffhangers for me, and I think that few anime can do it as well as ReZero does. For our number 2 moment, I'm placing a double death on the list, featuring Subaru and Rem.
眠れ我が娘と共に
So episode 15 was a roller coaster of emotions for many. First, we had to see Subaru getting tortured at the hands of the witch cult as we got acquainted with the villain for the rest of the series, Betelgeuse. Then, Rem comes in to save him, and it would have been a happy ending had it been any other isekai. But this is ReZero. So we then see Rem die in quite the graphic way. Not that it stopped people from laughing about it with Twister memes though. Turns out that Rem's still barely alive enough to give one last heart-wrenching speech to Subaru before passing on. With all his purpose in life gone, Subaru starts wandering around a snowstorm with the body of the maid before seeing a strangely familiar monster in the distance. Then he dies, and his head falls off just as the credits roll in one of the most powerful endings of an episode in the entire series. What just happened? I'm sure that those were the exact words playing in the minds of a million fans when they saw this part.
前の時も同じで逃げてそれでもどうして
だってスバル君はレムの英雄なんです
I don't think a lot of ReZero fans would argue with me when I say that this scene by far is the most iconic moment in all of the anime adaptation of ReZero. I'm going to go a little bit further and extend this moment to the whole episode because for me, it's just a powerful climax for the steadily brewing relationship between Subaru and Rem. The voice actors both killed it during this episode. I never thought that I'd run into an anime episode that's literally just two people talking but have time fly so fast at the same time. By and large, this one did. Capping it all off was Rem's actual confession backed by the beautiful song by her own voice actress. The art, the voice acting, the music during the scene, man, is unbelievable. Unlike a lot of the internet, I personally didn't have any violent reactions to Subaru casually rejecting Rem after all of that. After all, his renewed determination to be Rem's greatest hero at the end of it made up for it if you were to ask me. And that's it. The top 10 ReZero moments for you there. Trust me, things are about to get real in the upcoming season. Whatever happens, it's only a matter of time before we get the continuation to one of the best isekai titles in recent memory. So, what about you? What are your favorite ReZero moments that haven't been listed here? Please leave your comment in the comment section below. That's gonna do it for now. Till we meet again next time, see ya!